Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here at the Spartan Rocketry Club, continuing our build of the Estes Black Brant II. Now, fins, or at least I've got them marked properly now, but we'll come back to them. In the intervening time, we're going to work on building the motor mount. And the motor mount for this particular kit, well, it's got some plastic parts that need to be dealt with, and there's a bunch of other things that we need to break out of the bag. So before I start worrying about the bag part, I need to cut this up. Now, if you've watched other videos of mine, you'll know that through my own stupidity, I take this a little bit more seriously than I used to. And I did take it pretty seriously to begin with, but for now, in order to avoid particularly dumb incidents that happened in the past, I have a glove here for cutting. It's reinforced with like steel mesh of some sort, so it would be very, very difficult to cut my hand at this point. However, probably not impossible. So here's my hobby knife. This blade probably ought to be replaced, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it'll go pretty well, and if it's proving to be a pain, then I'll probably swap it out and just start on a new blade. So this needs to be cut in 3 places. This little bit at the end needs to come off, so we'll do that first. And I'm just gonna cut down following the existing groove, gently, of course. At the moment I'm through it. That kind of alarms me. I don't actually want to be through it right now. I just want to go over the seam. I really don't want to be losing control of the blade like that. Probably, so I'm going to cut this part off and then I'm going to replace the blade. Pretty sure that's my plan here. So it is not a bad thing for this to take multiple passes. Right? You are not racing to get this done. In fact, when you start to race, that's when the dumb stuff usually starts to happen. Like lodging the blade in your thumb. So don't do that. It's not worth it. If you are looking for a way to meet your insurance deductible, though, I guess, you know, that's an option. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it. Alright, so I am through, and once you get through, it tends to go quite quickly. Just be careful for a variety of reasons. Obviously, there's the safety one, but also if you really start having the knife slide through quickly, you might end up cutting stuff you didn't want to cut. All right, I'm going to take a little time out here for a moment. I'm just going to peel this back. I had it probably like 80% cut through, and usually when that happens, you can bend it to get the rest off. Have a look. Just looking at it here, it's not smooth yet, but it's not bad. If there were obvious big issues, I would go over it with the blade. But there aren't. So what I'm going to do instead, and you don't need to do this right now, but I do because I'm going to do it because there are a couple of spots that look a little sharp. And warning, this is going to sound terrible probably. Oh, that's not too bad. I'm just going to sand it. And now it is pretty good. Alright. Now, like I said, this blade's probably seen better days, so it is time to get rid of it. Here are my replacements. I'm going to get rid of the blade itself first, though. So just unscrew, and that's somewhat stuck here. There we go. So let's use my gloved hand. That would be the smart thing to do. This thing, just for safety reasons, I'm going to grab a piece of masking tape and I'm going to tape the blade up for disposal purposes. So this isn't like a magic solution to it, but it would be great if I could actually get the tape to stick. There we go. This is at least going to dull things up a little bit. Alright, that needs to be carefully disposed of. I'm just moving it off for the moment. I will deal with it later. I need a new blade. There we go. In we go. And then tighten things up. There we go. Okay, lovely. Now, continuing on, what else needs to come off? That's actually a good question. So, I need to cut in here and in here. So this big seam in between, I interestingly don't need to cut through. So it's this one and this one. So let's start here. Again, I'm just gonna trace where I want my blade to go a couple times. And if it happens to punch through a little bit in the process, that's fine, but I am not intending to cut through on the first pass. Oh, yeah, we got through right there. Sometimes there's spots in the plastic that just feel a whole lot weaker than the others, and I'm pretty sure it's a uniform thickness. I don't know why that happens to be. Might just be the way I'm cutting, might be something about the plastic, I don't know. Anyway, I've made my first pass now, so I would expect that I'm going to start cutting into or through the plastic on this pass. Well, apparently not right here. I am in there, but I don't feel good about pushing the blade right then and there. Didn't seem like that was going to be controllable. Okay, I'm through now, at least in that little spot. Yeah, and sometimes, like I said, the little spot gets, you can get through it, but right next to it, it is very much not cut through. So I'm going to go over that part that doesn't seem to want to cut just quite yet a couple times. There we go. Now I am making decent progress. There usually is too, the way that these are constructed, there's a seam right here, and the plastic is extra thick near the seam. So if that's the place where you have to pick it up and pull the two sides apart, it's not a bad thing. Alright. Making good progress now. Let's actually take a look, see how this is going. So I've cut through, I don't know, probably about 40% of it by now. So we'll just continue passing over it. No real rush. Yeah, and I'm definitely through it in most places, except it seems mostly around that seam. Okay, that's fine. Let's keep cutting. Okay, alright. Let's take another little look. Just about done here. Oh yeah, there we go. And yep, there's just this seam down here that's left. It was the seam at the top that just gave. Off it comes. This is again a piece that we apparently don't need. Do we? Yeah, there are only two pieces we need out of this. Alright, sand it down again. Again, this isn't something you need to do right away, but there were a couple little birds in there that I didn't want to mess with. so they're going to come off. Alright, last but not least, it's this other seam, or this other, well, seam, whatever you want to call it. This other spot that's basically the same as the one we just cut through. So I would expect this to be about as difficult, take about as much time. And there's no harm doing a cut and then coming back to it later. This is, it is time consuming, it is somewhat frustrating. Yeah, my hand might start to cramp, like, because holding this glove, or this piece with this glove here is, it's mildly strenuous. So you're probably going to have to grip it more tightly than you would otherwise. Plus, this admittedly is getting a little small, so I really feel good about wearing the glove right now. The blade is about half an inch or so from the path of the blade, I should say, is about half of an inch from where my thumb is going to go. And I don't feel great about that, but having the glove gives me some extra security. Hopefully not false security. I haven't actually tried to cut through the glove with the knife. I don't want to find out. It should be pretty durable. It's tough stuff. Alright, let's see how we're doing. This, I don't know if this is thicker, but this feels like I'm making less progress than the first time. And that's okay. So I'm definitely I'm through here, but again, it's such a narrow cut, and I was getting a lot of resistance that will back the blade out. It's nice when it goes smoothly, but when it resists, that's when you can get yourself in trouble. When I got myself in trouble. So, maybe your gut is telling you, oh, well, it's resisting, I'm going to push harder. That's probably not a good idea. Okay. Definitely through for about, I'd say about half of this. Let's take a peek. Yeah. So this near side I'm through. I don't think I am at all on the other side though. So continue the work. Oh, there you have it. Okay, that was a lot of fairly unpleasant work. You could, and I have, broken out a rotary tool, Dremel, or whatever you have. Ooh boy, awful sound. An option, but the cutting surface is a little difficult to use, and it's not going to be as precise. So those would be the downsides. You can see there are some burrs that came off there. A few actually. And there's still a couple left I can see. Still attached. I want them gone. That would be like, touching fiberglass. Would not want that. That could definitely be unpleasant. Alright, so I'm going to be careful with that. That's going to get thrown directly in the trash can. Alright, cutting's done. I am not going to do any more with the plastic for the time being. The other thing that we at least need to quickly look at in this video is getting the fins started to foil them. So I've remarked them all. Here's how this basically is going to work. I am going to grab my sanding block and I'm going to try to line things up with the angle that I have with the near line that I drew. I'm going to tilt the block and I'm just going to try to go back and forth, at least for a little bit, in line with the line that I just drew, or that I recently drew. So I'm going to start putting the angle in. Now I have the block at a much steeper angle than what I actually want for a finished product, but I'm looking to just start this. And then as I go, I'm going to lower the inclination of the angle. Should I get this back? I don't need to make a giant sawdust mess. So I'm going to lower the inclination of the angle. Eventually I'm just going to have it flat and follow that line. And this is going to take a while because there's a decent amount of wood to remove here, and it's not going to go quickly. And you don't want it to go quickly. If it goes quickly, that means that you're probably not doing it right, or you're at risk of breaking the wood. Remember too, I am not 100% convinced that this wood does not have a nasty potential break point in it. So yeah, I do not want to go quickly with this. Alright, so I've put the beginnings of an angle in here. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This little bump is going to make things a little interesting too, but again I'm going to line up with the line that I drew, incline the angle a little bit, try to follow the line that I drew, back and forth, and then slowly pivot the sanding block. And once I've got the angle started, and then eventually again it's going to go basically flat. It is a very wise idea to check how you are doing as you go. I can see I've got a bevel right here. So, obviously it needs to go out to here. That's going to happen eventually. I have a bevel probably about this wide going this direction as well. So this is going to take a while. It would be wise to work on one side and then switch to the other for a bit, because this has to come together at a point, right? So if you're doing a bit on each side in alternating order, you'll know how close you are to getting the point as you go. And you can tell, if you've done too much on, say, this near side, then you can switch over to the other side to try to keep things reasonably balanced. And if you hopefully you won't go too far, but if you're checking your work as you go, you should be able to see it. Now, right now I can see this side is not, I haven't done as much to it, so its angle isn't as impressive this side, but I do have it's a bit over-rounded right up here at the top. So I'm going to try to focus more on, say, the bottom part of this, because I seem to be doing more work in one spot than the other. It also is worth pointing out that the lead end right here and the back end right here, they seem to get sanded more than the parts in the middle. So I don't know if that's just the way I'm moving things, but it seems to be somewhat unavoidable, at least for me. But at least be aware of that, so then you can spend a little bit more time in the middle than in the back. All right. I'm again going to get started on the back end of this too, so incline the block, follow the line that I've drawn, and just sand. It's a great thing to do, by the way, if you have like a sporting event to watch or something that doesn't require your full attention, because this is time consuming and it is not terribly interesting, to be honest. Again, if you chose to do just round these edges because you were interested in making a functional rocket rather than making the full-blown scale model, hey, more power to you, because maybe you're using your time more wisely than I am right now. I don't know. But I guess I kind of look at this as like the instructions threw down the gauntlet and said, hey, you can do this, right? And I said, well, of course I can. So I suppose I've been shamed into doing something that I wouldn't ordinarily do by the instructions. Anyway, I have made some progress. It's narrower here than it is right at that middle line that I drew, and it is certainly narrower here as well. The point here is tapered, and yeah, I'm making progress. This is just going to take a while. And then I get to do it twice more, so hooray, how exciting. Alright, that's enough of me sanding things. I will be at this for some time off camera, so whenever it gets done, I will see you in the next stage. See you then.